Well, if you received a type of communication from me with a photograph of this gizmo, today we're going to be using it, making Kaiser Rolls. I tried something new well, I don't know how new it is. YouTube has started promoting it to me anyway, of a way of communicating with your subscribers. You can take a single photograph and supposedly it goes out to everybody. Well, I don't think it did, at least not on that one. I think I got 16 replies out of over 15,000 subscribers, so I have a suspicion that it only went to a few people. I've done it again with a Christmas greeting, and I must say I'm getting better response this time, but anyway, something fun to play around with. I had people guessing what this was, and I think the first person that replied gave the correct answer. So it is a stamp for making the top on a Kaiser roll. Hopefully we'll turn some out and they'll actually look like Kaiser rolls here. The recipe that I'm using came off of King Arthur Flour's website. King Arthur's products are wonderful. Unfortunately, they're in the U.S., not here. I have used King Arthur flour before, and if you're in the U.S., I would certainly recommend it. It's excellent flour. These are the ingredients required. Let's go down through the list. I think I printed this off, and I think I must have changed it to the metric version. I'm sure since King Arthur is in the U.S., they also have one for dry measure cups, etc. But I'm using weight, so the link will be down below, and you can go check for something that isn't in weights if you don't use it. It says 361 grams of King Arthur's unbleached all-purpose flour. Well, as I say, I can't get that flour here, and what I'm using is a bread flour, a strong flour. And actually, I did weigh out to 361 grams. That is very accurate. I think 360, 365 would work just as well. 1.5 teaspoons of instant yeast, 1.5 teaspoons of sugar, and 1.25 teaspoons of salt, and they're all in that little dish. An egg, large egg beaten, and I'm not getting large eggs now. My large hens seem to have gone on vacation, and my banties are laying quite nicely. But a large egg weighs 2 ounces, so I weighed out, I think it came closer to 3 ounces, but 2 bantam eggs came to the more than 2 ounces anyway, so that will do. 28 grams of unsalted butter softened, and that's that. It's not a lot of butter, but 170 grams of lukewarm water. And that is the ingredients except for the topping, and we'll get to that when it comes time to put topping on them. So let's put this together. Well, I'm going to use the stand mixer as usual. In the recipe they specify that you could do it by hand, or you could also use a bread machine on the dough cycle. I presume that means a bread machine that will hold this much ingredients, dough, I don't know. Never used a bread machine, but I guess that's one of the possibilities anyway. I like the way it starts. You just put everything in the mixer and go with it, so there's no gradually adding anything. I get that out of the bowl without putting some china chips in there. That was the flour. This is the yeast, the salt, and the sugar. And the egg. And the softened butter. Last but not least, I don't know if I even mentioned that when I was listing the ingredients or not, but 170 grams of lukewarm water. For some reason I don't think I did mention that. Now, once this comes together into a dough that's being kneaded, I will let it go for 8 to 10 minutes to develop a good gluten. I'll bring you back and show you what it looks like when it gets to that stage. So it has come together, used up all of the flour that was on the bottom, and sewed it into a single mass there now. I'll let it go for another 8 to 10 minutes and bring you back at that point. Finished its kneading. I have put it in this container. They say to put it in a bowl covered with plastic wrap or whatever for an hour and give it a chance to rise. Lightly oiled. I oiled it with some olive oil. They also say you could use a proving bucket, which reminded me that's what this is, and I bought it from King Arthur Flour. I use it almost exclusively when I'm making the no-knead bread because it's just enough. When the no-knead bread dough has completely risen, it fills that, and this weighs less than what the no-knead loaf does, so I'm sure it will do just fine. I will cover it and set it aside just here in the kitchen for an hour and bring you back when it's done its first rising. It's a little cool in here this morning, so I let mine rise for about an hour and a half. It feels cold in the pail here, so I may have to let them rise a little longer in their second rising. I weighed this before setting it aside there and calculated that each one of the 6 rolls that this will make should be somewhere between 100 and 110 grams, 105 and 110. I think the accurate thing was 107 or something like that, but it's not rocket science. It's a bread roll. I weigh. Most people don't. They can divide things up easily. I can't. I always end up with some that are very large and some that are very small. So I prefer to weigh to have at least an idea of what I'm getting. About 108. So I won't make you watch this part. I'll bring you back when I have them divided up here. Next, you make each one into a round. This is still a very soft, sticky dough, so I've added a little flour to the board here. Make it a little easier to work with. Doing this, bringing each corner over repeatedly, that gives you a little better surface tension. Holds the dough together a little bit better, hopefully. And there are 6 of these to do, so I won't make you watch me do it all here. I'll bring you back in a few minutes. Here comes the interesting part. Using the stamp to get the pattern. Now you have to, if you press too hard, it's going to go through and cut it, and it won't look like a Kaiser roll when it finishes. And if you don't press hard enough, the stamp design will disappear. So here goes. I'm putting a little flour on it each time, hoping that it won't bring the roll up with the stamp. Pressing a little harder sometimes than others. I have never done this before. I would like at least some of them to have the stamp design in it when it finishes. Pressing hardest on this one. I may regret not having pressed so hard on some of them, but anyway, we'll let it go at that. I don't want to press them again. It'll make a really strange design. And here comes the part that fascinated me. You turn them over. and let them rise with the stamp side down. Covered with a tea towel for about an hour. You can see where I've actually come through. That sort of, this side is looking sort of like bagels. Tea towel was sheep this time. I don't know where I might have picked that up. Somewhere in England, I'm sure. Probably Cumbria in the Lake District. Well, I'll bring you back in an hour's time, and we'll move on to getting these in the oven. Well, they've been rising for just a little over an hour. Don't know if I call that double in size or not. But now you turn them over. Maybe easier said than done. First one was stuck more than the other ones anyway. Might get something out of it. Looks like a Kaiser roll. Definitely not that one. I think maybe I should have had more flour in my dough. I have hopes of that one looking like a Kaiser roll. It says to dip them, but these are too soft to be dipped, so I'm going to brush them with a little milk. And then sprinkle them with either sesame seeds or poppy seeds. I have a mixture of both here. White sesame seeds and some poppy seeds. The oven has been preheated 425 degrees. And these go in for, I think it said 17 minutes. They're just out of the oven, and this one and the one next to it sort of look like Kaiser rolls. The rest of them, well, I don't know. It's sort of a starburst on top, I guess, but not quite what I was expecting, and they're still very hot. I'm going to let them cool down a bit, and then I'll show you how I'm going to have one of them for lunch. They make an excellent sandwich bun. Well, as you can see, I cut one in half and lightly toasted it. And I've done a veggie burger, having a veggie cheeseburger, I guess. A little mustard. Artificial cheese. Probably not even the brand name that you're thinking it is. However, it's all very similar, isn't it? Anyway, I use it on things like this, like anybody else does, I guess. Certainly not a homemade product. This is one of my fermented dill pickles that I did with that small fermenting thing several months ago, and they're still very good. I just ate one. Very good, very crispy. So let's take a bite out of this and see what it's like. The bread is very good. Maybe not all that successful with getting them to look like Kaiser rolls, but it is very tasty. If you have a Kaiser roll stamp, you've already done this. I think I got mine on Amazon. It was $7 or $8, something like that, if you're interested in trying. But even if you don't make these with the Kaiser roll stamp on top, they're very nice the way they are. I've been standing here for the last several videos for the little clip where you actually see me, and these two paintings behind me, I've had several comments on them, and did I do them? Well, no, I have absolutely no talent at all when it comes to painting. These were done by a good friend who lives in France, and sent them to me for a not certain address, birthday gift or a Christmas gift. But anyway, they're in my kitchen and I really enjoy them. Well, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you'll give this a try.